It's the second day of the Arizona Cardinals offseason, and they've already lost a dog on defense, Johnny Venerable?
Yeah, are they pivoting off of Kyzir White, and are they adding marquee players in free agency? What positions? We're going to tell you. PHNX Cardinals on a Tuesday starts now. Hey, welcome in live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your number one Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe, leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Brack in Studio K. Damon, Dawg, producer extraordinaire behind the mic. Hit us a like here on a Football Tuesday. Potential significant moves for the Cardinals defense already being done. Speaking of getting it done, download the Bet365 app. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why. Whatever the moment, never ordinary with Bet365. Welcome, friends. Welcome, Brack. Everybody, drop a like here on a Football Tuesday.
Yeah, chat already cracking me up. AZJ saying Johnny backwards hat screams, I can't finish my steak. You got Mike Mayer just coming in, guns blazing, turkey dog Johnny. Maymore Jones saying grilled turkey dog. I love.
I thought we were here to talk ball, not gourmet meats, right?
Every time Johnny thinks this is a safe space.
Yeah. He completely just backfires right back into his face.
I've asked my peers to get a charcuterie board going with me for months, and I've been ignored every time.
Yeah, drop a like on this video. We saw, if you're on the Instagram streets this morning, big topic today, Arizona Cardinals Kyzir White delivering a message that we're going to get into. We'll continue the conversation about Drew Petzing, his upcoming potential interview. He's been requested by the Bears.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll accept. I'm sure the Cardinals will oblige as far as that request goes, as a new coaching opening happened just hours ago. Las Vegas Raiders getting rid of Antonio Pierce. So six vacancies, Johnny.
I got a text message. I texted you before the show. I got a text message earlier today when that news happened, or just a couple hours ago, saying I could see the Raiders having significant interest in Kyler Murray. But, I mean, again, great, awesome. What do the Cardinals do, right? You remember that game Kyler balled out for Tom Brady and company against, what was it, the LA Rams? And Brady was gushing with K1 after the game. Brady is supposedly spearheading this search for a quarterback and head coach. And so, like, the Cardinals are going to keep K1. But, like, if you don't think for a second with how dismal this quarterback class is, I think Kyler Murray could easily get you a first-round pick. But then again, are you slumming it? This should be a good reminder for everybody. Austin Ford Gannon stabilizes franchise. You remove an infrastructure like quarterback, you're Ron Carthon, right? You're Antonio Pierce. You're one step away from getting your ass canned if you're one of these guys. So as much as everybody wants to say hypothetical trade Kyler, go sign Justin Fields, you know who doesn't want to do that? Jonathan Gannon. Gannon wants no part of that.
Right. I mean, Jonathan Gannon giving even more so support on the flagship radio station yesterday. I didn't think we had to have JG spell it out as much as they did on the radio show. They needed
some
it
outlets
completely
need you to do that.
Exactly. 100%. He said Kyler Murray was going to come back on Arizona Sports yesterday. So,
wow, breaking.
I mean, was it not enough where he had 2 to 3 comments in his postseason, presser where he said he's a top franchise quarterback, that you needed him to say he wants him back as quarterback and that they need to surround the quarterback with enough talent to be successful. That I guess that's where we are. But look, it does kind of move things forward here as far as what our offseason conversation is. I mean, I think we started having it a couple weeks before the end of the season. You know, how do you improve the quarterback room without moving off of Kyler Murray? And we think, you know, there's still a very real possibility they bring in just not competition, but, you know, continue to work on that room and maybe work on the backup quarterback position in a couple different ways.
Like I think the closer we get to free agency and you see the desperation from like a team like the Giants and the Colts and the Raiders, who are not going to be in a position we assume for a Shedeur Sanders or a Cam Ward. Justin Fields is going to get a chance to like go somewhere and start next year. You got the Seattle GM basically condemning Geno Smith without condemning him publicly. Like the free agent quarterbacks that have starting experience, guess what, are going to go to teams that need starters. So like I get like the anti-Kyler narrative is strong, and then there's the segment that's staunchly committed, and then there's this show where it's like roll with K1, got to be better, keep your eye on the future. Like I don't think the Cardinals can have this kind of buffet approach with quarterback that like, hey, we're going to get a significant backup that could push Kyler Murray. Those guys are going to be pushing for jobs in other places.
True.
Like, I don't think anybody's coming here with the idea of, I'm going to be able to compete with Kyler Murray, because they're on the surface, they're not going to be as good. I think they're going to go to places where it's like, oh, Cleveland needs a starter for OTAs, or, you know, Anthony Richardson's a disaster. I can have that job by week 4. Like, yeah, we can fix him. Like for sure. Kyler Murray, whether people like it or not, like he is in my opinion, as we fast forwarded from Sunday, he's in a very good spot to be the starter all year next year again, with minimal competition as we get closer to the offseason.
I mean, the pressure's on to perform, no doubt about it, because there's going to be an even more improved roster, and the expectations are going to be there for this team to make a bigger leap in year 3 than they did in year 2. And but when you do look at the quarterback landscape, yes, it's a great point to where you don't have the negotiation, tactic to where you can say, hey, yeah, you're realistically going to be able to come in here and compete. Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, whatever scraps might be available, this offseason. You're going to have to identify, your pro scouting is going to have to identify somebody that fits your scheme and that does have the ability to upgrade at that spot without having to, sit there and really kind of out negotiate some of the other teams that are going to be able to say, hey, like you realistically can come in here and compete. Like, hey, we're the Vegas Raiders, we're the Tennessee Titans. We have no options at quarterback, and we either aren't going to draft number 1 overall quarterback. We're going to take the best player available, and we just need a bridge or a stopgap guy. I mean, those opportunities are going to be there for some guys, and you can bet your backside that people are going to look at Sam Darnold, even with this poor performance, like, hey, can we be the team that finds that career resurgence? This offseason, it's such a trendy thing. It's happened now, I feel like 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I feel like the Darnolds, the Russell Wilsons, the Fields, even Jameis Winston's and Danny Dimes, like these guys are going to go places where like, well, there's an avenue for me to play. And I just don't think that's going to be in Arizona. We moved from the offensive captain in K1 to the defensive captain. It's the title of today's show. And, full transparency here, like Kyzir White, we're going to talk about him where he fits on the hierarchy later in the show, but we might be able just to fast forward to it now. Is Kyzir White poised to leave the Arizona Cardinals at 28 years old? He was signed by Austin Ford 2 seasons ago, was really the only signee of note 2 years ago when Gannon got the job, was a carryover from Philadelphia. The relationship that we had sourced on this show that he was going to target him, he did, and it's been a really good marriage, but it feels like that marriage might be coming to an end, Bo, based off a Instagram post that you saw earlier today.
Yeah, it made its rounds on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And it was on IG. Kyzir White posting a thank you to Arizona And then you can see a ton of his teammates making their ways into the comments. Mac Wilson just spamming his feed here with 3 posts.
Yeah.
Don't do this to me. Appreciate you for everything. 7, his number, obviously the true epitome of a leader. Get yours as far as free agency coming his way. Love you forever, Kyzir. And then, of course, the crying, almost crying, emoji from Mac Wilson, and then Buda Baker's in there. But it's just kind of read the tea leaves here. I mean, Kyzir White, as you saw, guys like Buda Baker's the same age and James Conner's a year older, that they prioritize bringing back this season before they even hit the offseason. And Kyzir White has not seen an offer. If he saw an offer, he felt like he wants to test the market. So, a lot of people were like, well, no, hey, that's just him thanking, the Cardinals fans for a great season. I don't read it that way. I don't read his teammates' reaction that way. It does seem like this is going to be a mutual parting of ways, as Kyzir White played out his 2 years, that $10 million that he signed to follow JG from Philly here. And did it very successfully, played at a high level for the Arizona Cardinals, is everything and more that they wanted, that they anticipate getting from him coming over from that Super Bowl team in the 2023 offseason.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just prepare everybody for this now, and we've kind of heard some rumblings that this is where the team was going to go, but I don't expect him back. I think this is it, save for him not having any kind of market, which I don't think is going to be the case. I think he's going to go somewhere and get another multi-year deal. 27 years old, 28 years old, coming off a nice season. He played all 17 games after missing 6 last year. I think he tear his pec or tear his bicep and came back this year and played well. I think they've known about this for a little while. And so people in the chat saying that this is not an end all be all. I think it's probably like a 5-10% chance he comes back. They're going to look, I hate using this term. They're going to look to upgrade at the position, or they're looking for more of a significant output, probably from maybe a takeaway standpoint. I don't know what they're looking for. They're looking for higher end play. That feels like a shot at Kyzir White.
No, and look, this is the business side of the NFL. And this is when you find a team that's going to be draft and develop and where they're going to invest their money as far as their veteran players. I don't think you're going to see it like the off-ball linebacker, like the Jordan Hicks signings of yesteryear under Steve Keim. Those aren't going to happen any longer. Like, could they find this season's off season's Mac Wilson, and in the previous to that was Kyzir White himself? But I think that Jonathan Gannon, Monty Ossenfort, Nick Rallis view that spot as a very young man's position, that they want a certain amount of speed and athleticism. And, I think that I'm not calling Kyzir White wash or anything. I think that they're just going with the trends of the NFL, and that they're not going to reinvest in a guy at his age, at his position.
I see a lot of asking if Owen Papo is the guy. We're made to understand that the replacement for Kyzir White is not on the roster. They are going into free agency with the intent to sign a linebacker. But to Bo's point, I think it'll be probably somebody in the same realm of what they did with Mac Wilson Sr. last year, where it kind of came out of left field, and it was easily the best signing of free agency last year and the most impactful. I think they feel like they can do that again. It is, if we didn't know anything, this post and what we had kind of been hearing, like, I would just assume this was going to get done. I mean, we talk about Nick Rallis, Bo, you brought it up many times, naming his son after Kyzir White, right? And so just figure, this guy's going to be a lifer Cardinal. That's doesn't look like that's the case. I think that they've had conversations with his reps clearly already. And you also have to understand, folks, like the guys that they wanted to prioritize, guess what? They prioritized them already. They're re-signed. Their names are James Conner and Buda Baker. Those deals got done. Those individuals are around the same age as Kyzir White. You could have signed Kyzir White now or during the season. They feel like there's not a sense of urgency to do that. Clearly, let him test the market. Hopefully Kyzir White gets a bunch of money, but Buda Baker and James Conner were signed during the season. Why is that? so Austin Ford can get a head start on external free agents, and that's smart. They should be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, look, Gannon was holding his exit interviews with all of his players and stuff, and then, you have this post today. I just felt like, the writing's on the wall, and like if he does come back, that's great. I mean, I think that you keep somebody that their leadership transcends the playing field. But I'm with my co-host here, where I think it's a bit of a long shot, unless it's the stars align as far as the free agent market. And I don't think you want that for Kyzir White, especially when you saw like Bobby Wagner got a decent deal from Washington last year. Like, you see linebackers be able to go cash in all around the league. I just think that this is a regime that's confident in its ability to either draft or get a younger player at that position and develop them. I mean, Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rollis did in Philly with Kyzir White himself, and TJ Edwards, who cashed in even more so than White did with the Chicago Bears. And then they were able to keep a really solid group on the field here in Arizona. And I think that they want to see, like, if they can find some upside at that position athletically, and as he said, maybe get some splash plays, whether it's pressures or picks.
I think the splash plays could be what was maybe Kyzir's undoing, and the lack thereof. He has 4.5 sacks in 2 seasons, and again, he's an inside backer. No forced fumbles in 28 games as the starter at linebacker. 0 forced fumbles from an inside linebacker. 1 fumble recovery, and 1 interception each year. And this year was a big one. He intercepted Brock Purdy to win that game. But it just, the theme of this offseason, whether we like it or not, the makeover of the front 7. Well, Kyzir White, fair or not, is part of that group. That group this year, outside of the passing game, didn't force and generate enough turnovers and pressures, right? Like, Mac Wilson right now is the only one that you can consistently say, like, he's around the quarterback, he's flying around, he's making plays. I feel like, to my co-host's point, they're going to go a different direction to see if they can maximize somebody maybe a little bit younger with, better athleticism to put them in a position. I feel like the Cardinals are bracing everybody for, and this is kind of reading the tea leaves, for just a significant facelift for their defensive front 7. That just feels like what's about to happen. With Jonathan Gannon kind of nudging everybody into the direction of, we just have to be a better team. We know wholesale changes aren't coming to the offense. We know he's lauding the secondary in the press conference. It's the best position unit potentially on the team. What does that leave? They want to be able to control teams up front. They want to be able to say, you're not going to run on us. We're going to get pressure with 4. And so while you wouldn't assume that an inside linebacker that's been a stalwart is replaceable, I think they're at the point right now, Bo, where it's like year 3, defensive head coach. Maybe that needs to be the strength of the team next year to be able to ensure that this team does not have a collapse. Look at what the Seattle Seahawks did this year, and the LA Rams. Those teams were hot and cold offensively, especially the Seattle Seahawks. They won 10 games because their defense bludgeoned people, because they did what they needed to under Mike McDonald to be able to go into games and say, we can win 13-3. We can win 17-9 or whatever it may be. Same with the LA Rams. Rams were averaged less points per game than the Cardinals. They won 10 games this year. So I think they're renewing an identity that I think is probably overdue, especially when the offense really can't be masked outside of a couple tweaks. It is what it is.
Yeah. No, I mean, but you do talk about the back end, and we had a little bit of in-depth conversation about it yesterday with the upside of that. Max Melton after his rookie season, Garrett Williams after his second season, Buda Baker coming back, what we liked from Rabbit Taylor Demerson, just flush with talent. And if you do revamp the front 7, ensure, like, if Kyzir White is a casualty in the sense that he gets to go cash in elsewhere, and you upgrade the entire front 7, as a fan, you're going to like that a lot more. Like, this defense is going to become more efficient as far as getting off the football field than it was in 2024. Like, we complimented this defense a ton in this season because it was the most consistent side of the football, but it still struggled to get off the football field. They were a bend don't break team. Like they deserve all their flowers, but at the same time, like if you can, mature into a team that takes away the football and gives your offense way more opportunities, like then you're going to be able to put yourself in a position, in games where you won't have to rely on your franchise quarterback to come up with the game-winning drive. Like it's still going to happen, but you're going to win more games, in a handled fashion than, having to like just grit your teeth and hope that they have the ball in their hands in the final drive.
We're going to talk about PFF grades later in the show, and we got to get to break, but I do want to point out one thing. It's not the end-all be-all, but Kyzir White, 73 against the run. Very good.
Yeah.
His coverage grade, 32. No one interception each of the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's just they want to be better.
Season that was one of the iconic games, I guess, for the first year where they beat Dak in Dallas. So
he's gonna have a job. He's gonna get paid by somebody. But to me, this probably signals that they maybe have already identified a replacement in free agency. If you're gonna let Kyzir, I mean, they basically let him know right now based on that post. Like if you're posting that, if you're Kyzir White, you and your agent are set on we're moving on here. And Austin Ford, he's got a plan. What does that plan look like? We're going to tell you the priority free agents for this team and the priority positions that we believe this team is going to target come March. That's right around the corner. Drop a like here on PHNX Cardinals. If you have not liked this video, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on with our friends at Bet365? We got free bonus bets for you. $5 is going to get you $150 in bonus bets with a $10 deposit on your newly created account with the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Regular season in the NFL, Bo, maybe to a close. But man, oh man, I've already seen some lines this weekend from the playoff betting scene that I can't wait to dabble on. I can't put enough money, frankly, on the fraud Broncos to lose. I'm teasing it up with my friends at Bet365 for Josh Allen, MVP, and the Buffalo Bills to take it down. I also like Pittsburgh to get blown out. I think there's going to be some gross blowouts this weekend in the playoff picture, and you can get some not so gross payouts, some lofty ones with our friends at Bet365. Again, never ordinary. Download the app today, Bet365. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Place a bet of $5 or more, get $150 in bonus bets. Find out why, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary, Bo, with Bet365. You do have to be 21 years and older, physically located here in AZ. If you or someone has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov for more info.
Found a linebacker I think would be a nice little replacement for Kyzir, plus an idea for our hold or fold the line this week. But first, got to tell you about our friends over at Carol Royce. Is my co-host Cheers is his Pizza Hut, his nicest Pizza Hut cup there. That is very nice. Carol Royce's team of buyers right now. Give them a call, 480-776-5231, and visit Carol Royce's website. Carol Royce Real Estate is team is family owned and locally operated, in 3 generations of family members serving the Valley of the Sun. They are woven within the fabric of our great state, our community, and they are going to help you buy or sell your house. Check this one out right now. If you're considering buying a home in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce. Your home is sold guaranteed realty. Move up to one of our listings and we'll buy your home for cash right now. If you have questions, call today. That's 480-776-5231, or visit Carol online at Carol Royce. That's ROYSE team.com. That's CarolRoyceTeam.com if you're buying or selling your house.
Let's talk about where the Cardinals are going to spend money this offseason and potentially whom. Drop a like on this video. We do it every year, and we're going to do it throughout the duration of the offseason, and things can change. But this is what this podcast is hearing roughly 2 months away from free agency. Yeah, if you're interested in that kind of thing, drop a like. I've been told 3 points of emphasis, and you might sit here and say, well, no duh, Johnny. Well, let's just get down to brass tacks for a second. The Cardinals, Bo.
Come on. I mean, we got people asking Kyler Murray's coming back. So we're hitting all the layups out of the way here early.
Our audience is smart though. I just want to make sure we're not pandering to anybody. Cardinals are currently 4th in cap space with just over $83 million. The cap is expected to go up again. Now you do have to factor in a Trey McBride extension, but I doubt that this is going to be, taking effect right away, right? Usually,
he's still under contract one more year. I mean, it's not going to. Yeah.
So if you pay Trey $18 million, probably wouldn't kick in until 2026. Here are the positions we're told the Cardinals are going to target early and often free agency. We had linebacker before this news. I think you can double down on that. And people roll their eyes and say, sure you did. Nope, they're going to add a linebacker. I don't know how much money they're going to spend. They're going to get a starting caliber linebacker. This is it for Kyzir White. They're not elevating, regardless of, I love JG. They're not elevating Owen Papo, right? He's not an every down starter. Chris Barnes is not the answer. They're going to go get somebody next to Mack Wilson Sr. as the starter come next September. Number 2, we're going to talk about it. They are going to pay. They tried to last offseason. It didn't work out given the market. They're going to pay a big money guard this offseason. Okay, we can speculate on names, what they plan to do there. But like Isaiah Adams is going to start at right guard. So who are they paying at left guard? I would imagine it's going to be somebody that nets a pretty penny. Now you could talk about maybe pivoting off of that, Bo, because of Jonah Williams' situation. I think there's a better chance that the Cardinals add a left guard of note and then do a platoon at right tackle with like a Jackson Barton, Kelvin Beachum, and a rookie, more than signing another big name, high-priced right tackle if Jonah Williams is inevitably cut. I think they've made up their mind. Kyler Murray's susceptible to pressure interior. He can evade pressure on the edge. I think their big priority right now, Bo, is to add a guard over a right tackle.
Yeah, it's probably the move. I think that they've got, like, if teams have good tackle play, like they're going to hold on to it, right? So there's less of a market there or an ability to upgrade. So, could be the 16th overall pick, potentially could be a second round pick, right?
No doubt.
Could they keep Kelvin Beachum? He told us at his locker yesterday, he got approval from his wife to play another year. He's not under contract. You would be somebody you would have to bring back. And I know we're going to get into that conversation here shortly, but I mean, the good thing is you've got 3 starting positions on your offensive line accounted for and opt for a 4th. And then you just have to do maybe some heavy lifting as far as completing that offensive line. Like you could bring back Will Hernandez and plug him in at right or left guard and move Isaiah Adams, or keep Isaiah Adams at right guard or move him to left guard. You could keep Evan Brown. I think Evan Brown would probably want to stay. But you're good at center. You're good at left tackle. And wherever Adams ends up as far as in the starting lineup, I think he's solidified himself as a future starter for this team down the stretch. So the offensive line, like, it's nice because I think any addition would be viewed as an upgrade.
Yeah, I also think it's easier in their mind to upgrade at guard in free agency over tackle. I think that tackle market has spurned them last year. And I mean, Bo, I know you disagree with it at the time. Like you got, I think, equal play from Kelvin Beachum than you did Jonah Williams. Like you couldn't tell as a fan. And Jonah Williams, to me, is supposed to be this plus run blocker. Cardinals were fine. I mean, they played their worst offensive games, and it's not Jonah's fault when he was playing right tackle. Kelvin Beachum was their starter. They had a winning record when Kelvin Beachum played for them. Guard is a priority for them. And I know this definitively. They saw what the Rams did with the influx of talent that they added on their interior offensive line, and how that basically saved their season at the end of the year when all those guys got healthy and they ran the football and everybody, save for the Cardinals game. I think they'd like to emulate that. And then, of course, if O-line's number 2 and middle linebackers number 3, defensive line as a whole is number 1. Like that is going to be, when we're sitting here at the start of free agency, the marquee names that we see come off the board at defensive line have to be en route to Arizona. You can't wait. Can't play the long game. When they get permission to talk, the tampering period, we need to see names for the Arizona Cardinals or high-price free agents headed to Arizona. That is easily the number 1. So those are the priority positions this offseason. And saying all that, Like, how many of those theoretically are guys already on the roster? I think our answers are going to surprise you. There's depth to be had, but after you see Kyzir White walking out the door, the priorities for the team are not necessarily internal, Bo.
Yeah. And I teased, like, I think maybe a potential Kyzir White successor, Jamian Sherwood from the Jets. He was their team MVP, much all against, obviously you had all the turmoil going on there in Gang Green, and this guy just racked up over 150 tackles, 2 sacks. He's 24 years old. Seems like he's a good locker room guy. We'll see if his price gets driven up maybe too high. Could price out the Cardinals, but would be a nice little replacement. I think he fits. He's playing the end of his rookie year, rookie deal coming out of Auburn. I think he'd be a nice little, good coverages, get grades. You can look at his PFF. I think that'd be a good spot to look for the Cardinals. But then, I mean, they've raised the floor as far as the defensive line talent goes. They're no longer like it's not the worst position group in all of football any longer, but they've got some pieces to move forward with. I think that they could look to bring some guys back that will identify here, but in place, you have Dante Stills going into year 3. You have Darius Robinson going into year 2. That's good enough for me to add talent around, and it could become, what used to be a huge liability, a strength quickly for this team.
Didn't it feel like at the end of this year, as they ran out of gas in the second half of the year, it's like, we know they have enough talent now to get through the season respectfully, right?
Mm-hmm.
7, 8, 9 wins. If things break right, they would have won 10, 11 games. What separates the teams that are in the middle of the pack to the front end? Elite players, right? They need to add 1 to 4, in my opinion, high-end, like blue chip players, whether they're veterans, free agents, acquired via a trade. I know that's tough via the draft. And of course, they're going to have their own guys. Like, we ought to see the best version of Paris Johnson Jr. next year. We're all, predicting a pop year for MHJ. Some of that's going to happen organically.
Yeah.
But to win at Minnesota, you needed a Pro Bowl pass rusher blitzing and coming off the edge and kicking Sam Darnold's ass, right? Or you needed an all-pro corner stepping in front of Justin Jefferson, intercepting a pass, or Marv to take over a game. That's what it's going to take to get to that next level. And some of that can be done in free agency. And I feel like last year, while it felt like a little bit like empty calorie free agents was, these guys are nice and they're going to help you get through the season, right? Evan Brown's nice, but are they going to get you to where you want to be as a playoff team? The Seattle Seahawks, who won 10 games, told Evan Brown, we're not interested. We're going to try to upgrade, right? So the Cardinals now need to graduate from just kind of participating in free agency to dominating free agency.
Yeah, be aggressive. Be aggressive with the guys that have been identified as top tier talent. No, like, hey, like this is better than what we had in house, but does it have its ceiling? And they need to go out there and take some big swings at the dish. And I think that's the if you've been waiting, now's the time to strike. Like if the previous 2 off seasons, like year 1, Monty Ossenfort doesn't have this job even at this point in the offseason 2 years ago. He gets it. He has to identify. He has to go through the coaching search. He gets Jonathan Gannon. You're kind of behind the 8 ball there. You're doing a teardown anyway, so you're mostly shedding player salary instead of bringing in. And then last year, it's like you had cap dollars to spend, but was your roster in the place where like you want to go out there as a draft and develop team and just start to fill holes on the free agent market? And they decided to, hey, we can't be, big game hunting here for Christian Wilkins and crew, but we're going to at least raise the talent floor. Now it's like, okay, talent floor roster wide has been raised.
Yeah.
Now it's time to get impact makers, true impact makers, because it's necessary, because you were devoid of that in some key moments, too many key moments on both sides of the football this season that restricted you from going where you wanted to go. So now, like, it's in place, like the roster's in place. I think the core for the most part is in place. Now either add to that core or just add some pieces that are going to make, take them, past where they, past that ceiling that they hit.
Who are they going to prioritize within their own locker room? Bo, Damon, and I, we're going to give our best guess of who they're going to let walk and who they need to and will re-sign. That's up next, right around the corner. Drop a like on PHNX Cardinals. Who's a priority for the Cardinals? We'll tell you who's a priority for game time to get those tickets. Should be everybody here with the bonus code PHNX for $20 off. Again, NFL season coming to a close in the regular season, but hang on. Phoenix Suns, are they going to trade for Jimmy Butler? Are you going to have courtside seats with our friends at Game Time? They'll be cheaper than anywhere else. I guarantee it. Plus, of course, we got spring training right around the corner. What is it? What'd you say? Pitchers and catchers report in like 3 weeks?
Pretty soon, yeah. February.
Done deal.
What, mid-February?
You live in Arizona, there's always stuff to do, especially with our friends at Game Time. Concert season, right? Festival season. It's got you covered. College sports in general, ASU, U of A, whatever you like, look it up. You'd be surprised how much is truly on there. Plus, lowest price guaranteed. They've got event cancellation protection, 24-hour return rate guarantee, job loss assurance, plus one-time ticket delivery. It is literally the only place I look for tickets now. They've cut out the middleman. They've cut out the egregious fees that you see from these other third-party ticketing sites. They are here to help you save and to have the experience you want at your favorite sporting event, concert, etc. Right now, check them out. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it, Bo? It's Game Time with PHNX Sports.
Love our friends over at Game Time. Also love our friends over at Sanderson Ford, doing at the highest level as far as getting people into their dream vehicles, whether it's a car, truck, whatever you want. They've got a full 700 plus inventory of vehicles right now on their 65-acre lot. They are thankful for all 500 employees that take care of them and their customers, making Sanderson Ford's most awarded Ford dealership in the Valley of the Sun. We love our partnership over them because of what they not only do as far as putting us in great cars and trucks, but also what they give back to the communities. Donate to St. Mary's Food Bank, Southwest Autism and Resource Center, military assistance missions. The list goes on, and they thrive as far as on their day-to-day with their no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense sales approach. You want to go check out a great car, but you don't want to be pressured by a salesman who's sleazy and just trying to get you to, pay top dollar. That's not what they're about. They want to show you great vehicles and get you in the right car, right vehicle for you. Like the 2024 F-150, you can get a 3.9% APR financing for 66 months, plus $4,000 cash back. Similar savings on the over 700 new and pre-owned vehicles on the lot over at Sanderson Ford. Check them out right now, sandersonford.com.
Sanderson Ford in the A tier for Ford dealerships. Who's in the A tier for Arizona Cardinals to be re-signed? Priority to let him walk, Bo Brack. Let's check out the chart here on PHNX Cardinals. Again, drop us a like. Not too many high and mediums. There's a lot of roster churning, Bo, at the bottom of this roster. And a lot of it smells like Steve Keim. And again, no disrespect here, but can the Arizona Cardinals, can they replace what looks like 12 contributors there? Walk us through the Cardinals free agent priority tiers here on a Football Tuesday.
This looks great. Our guy Damon, Dawg, putting this together. Cardinals free agent priority tiers, and we've got it high, medium, and low, and let them walk. And I kind of gave the listeners, the viewers out there, some insights, some behind the scenes insight on this about how I was going back and forth with Johnny on this. And he said some of these guys you just need to throw in to let them walk and just move on.
Yeah.
You can kind of come to your own conclusion on what names Johnny constantly talks about.
Johnny actually made me put Dennis Gardeck on there twice. I don't know if you caught that or not.
Wow.
I didn't see him. Oh, he's in a tier that I think Johnny doesn't agree with.
No.
But which way do you want to go with this? You want to go with the guys that are priority bringbacks or the guys that you just let walk?
Let's talk about the guys that we feel like the team should prioritize first. So,
all right, let's start there.
Yeah. LJ Collier was probably their most consistent defensive lineman, right? And he has been a part of this unit for 2 years. He got hurt last year. He's still only 29. I feel like even when the Cardinals are going to go big game hunting, a defensive tackle, Bo, you still need depth at that position. Gannon told us he's not playing anybody more than 50, 60% of the time. LJ Collier was their best at rushing the passer, along with Dante Stills. He's just been a really good fit for what they want to do. Plus, he was a first-round pick for a reason. So
Yeah.
he, to me, it's crazy to say out of everybody, is probably the number one priority re-sign.
Yeah, I would probably give an edge just a bit to Roy Lopez, just because his TFL numbers were pretty impressive this season.
Okay. I have no issue with
but
that.
yeah, Collier obviously setting a new career high in sacks from that same position, equally as impressive. I think both of those guys, just based on the rotation, would be great to bring back. Roy, of course, the local kid, went to U of A, played out there at Mesquite High School. His dad's a high school coach. It's just a great story, and it's always good to have one of those guys on the team. His motor's always talked about. Guy shows up to practice every day. The entire high priority list, which is 3 guys, is trench players. And I think I identified, Evan Brown on the offensive side of the football is who I would prioritize, because we didn't talk about Evan Brown at all this season. And that's a good thing for an offensive lineman. You like Evan Brown was set it and forget it at the left guard spot. He's a guy that, set the tone in the weight room, created he was such a beast throwing around weights that, it sparked competition from Paris Johnson Jr. and Yelda Froholt. I think that's just the kind of guy that you want to keep around.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I feel like, Bo, can you get Evan Brown to come back and not guarantee him a starting job? I feel like that was kind of the play this offseason, where it was is he going to start for them? Because I think all 3 of those guys in the perfect place, Collier, Brown, and Lopez, are depth players.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy when we talk about that? Those guys on really good teams are not starters.
Yeah, and I think that the benefit here, as far as of all your 20-plus unrestricted free agents, these are unrestricted guys. We're not getting to the restricted guys. We'll leave that later this week. But they aren't big-time impact players.
No.
They had their role, and they played their role really well for the Arizona Cardinals, but it is good. You're not, in jeopardy of losing, a true, oh, man, I can't believe that guy, you let that guy leave. But, I think I give Evan Brown the edge over Will Hernandez just based on the injury, and I think based on age. But I could see either. Do you think they would bring back both?
No, and I haven't heard one thing about the team bringing back Will Hernandez. Now that doesn't mean they won't, but I don't think the team.
Who's beloved, absolutely beloved, just as much as Kyzir White on the.
He's a beloved Cardinal. We love him on this show. He's a great human being. He's going to play in the NFL a long time. But again, to your point, was he a Kyzir White kind of? Some of these guys, with respect to them, were guys to help get this culture in a good place.
Yeah.
Well, and that's no disrespect. Some guys are baton guys. Some guys are here to help stabilize. But then, what are we talking about? How did we lead the show today? What are you going to do to get this team to the next tier? Are you the guy to do that? Or are you a guy that's approaching 30? And if we pay you money, is your play going to decline in this contract? They want to be paying ascending players. Unless, again, you can sign guards and defensive linemen to be rotational depth players, no doubt. The Cardinals needed a bunch of interior linemen. I think, to your point, I would expect Evan Brown to be signed. I mean, Isaiah Adams is the starter at right guard. Will Hernandez, that was his job. Isaiah Adams is now the starter there. You used a 3rd-round pick on. I complain about Tip Ryman. Isaiah Adams was drafted ahead of Tip Ryman.
Yeah.
Isaiah Adams was drafted to. They think this guy's going to be a plus player in the NFL. You think they're going to sign a bunch of guards to block him? They got one spot open, and it's at left guard. And so, to me, it's you either re-sign Evan Brown and keep the status quo. But again, somebody who's approaching 30 or over 30 now, I just feel like they're going to take a big swing at a free agent guard and say, we want the middle of our offensive line to be the strength of the team. I mean, think about that. Let's say they got a top 3 guard in free agency next to Yelda Froholt, who we know is a stud, and then Isaiah Adams, whose best plays in front of him.
Yeah.
Then you're talking about a run game that's already, top 5 in the NFL, being even more explosive. So that this whole front end of the list is very that'd be great if they brought him back, but it's not going to derail the season either.
Yeah, and I think that's the entire list, and those are guys that we view as high priority. Let's get it back up here if you don't mind, Damon. Because then you get to kind of like medium, and it's like, okay, so I had Kyzir White on here, and it looks like they're just going to let him walk. So you can
cross
kind
that
of
off. Yeah.
put him in that category. You got Will Hernandez, Naquan Jones, who's just like a tier below. It's like, okay, like bring him back, bring those guys back as placeholders until you upgrade the position. But if they are going to go swing at a guard, then, I very well could see Evan Brown and Will Hernandez just both, seeking starting opportunities elsewhere, because they're going to be there. Teams are going to view these guys as starters because that's what they are. And then we get to this low priority, Dennis Gardeck. This is a position that you really hope, as a Cardinals fan, the outside linebacker, the edge position that they attack aggressively in free agency in the draft. I've got Gardeck here as a low priority, just based on, he does so many things. Can he be a rotational guy? Can he be a depth guy? One guy I'll move up, and this is based on your advice, Johnny, it's Calvin Beachum, because of the need at tackle now, the ability to play right tackle, swing tackle at a good enough clip to keep your offense serviceable. So I like him at 35 years old. I give him the edge over Jackson Barton. Poor guy, every opportunity he got, unfortunately got injured. And then you look at guys like Tristan Colon, who I think you can bring back as a depth player. Carice Tunga, a guy you could bring back as a depth player. And then long snapper like Aaron Brewer's played, a lot of snaps on fourth down for this team. And if they bring him back, great. If they pivot, we're not going to have an in-depth conversation about that position.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Jonah Williams appears to have a significant injury.
Yeah,
it hasn't been shared with the general public, the media, but it's something that he sustained. He was carted off the field against Carolina. Right. If you cut Jonah Williams post June 1st, so a post June designation, you're going to save, if you're the Cardinals, $8 million to only $3 million in dead cap. So for me, it's like that seems like, or no, I'm sorry, it's $10 million you're saving and $6 million in dead cap, and then he's got a void year next year. I think Jonah Williams is done. It's
unfortunate.
It's a DJ Humphries situation.
Yeah, it really is. It's somebody who is well liked, and I think that's the thing. Like, fans see it. Like, they see it with all these offensive linemen. Like, JG even told us, like, offensive linemen are his spirit animal, right? He identifies with them. They're an easy, well liked group. But the Cardinals are in the business of improving the roster, and they're going to bring in guys that are also well liked, but are also like impact players on the playing field. So, and then you get to kind of the let them walk tier.
Hang on, I want to dive into this group real quick. I want to
the low guys, the low.
I don't want to rip into people, but I want to rip it. I want to say some goodbyes here.
Okay.
All right, but before we do that, we got to do some ad reads. But I really want to give us time. That list is robust, right? And I feel like we've given the due to the guys in the upper tiers. We really got to get to the meat on the bone here on the bottom tiers and explain to the people why enough is enough. It's time for a change, and that change is right around the corner on PHNX Cardinals. Drop a like. Not looking good for those in the bottom tier, but it's always looking good for you with our friends at Circle K, baby, America's thirst stop. Join the Inner Circle for free. It's a free membership program. You like free 99, easy to download. Enter your email and phone number to be fully enrolled. It's going to save you 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups with Circle K. Plus, after that, you're saving 3 cents every time. I love it. Why would you go anywhere else? You wouldn't. Enjoy a free membership exclusive deal. Any size, Polar Pop or Froster, just 79 cents. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details.
Sound the alarm, whatever we have for a brand new sponsor partnership. Do we have anything for that? There you go. Arnie Palmer alert. Arnie Palmer alert. No, Pure Edibles alert. Our friends over at Pure Edibles, who I've been told is a big-time viewer of PHNX Cardinals and excited to be part of the PHNX Sports family. Pure Edibles, founded in Arizona and available in 130 dispensaries statewide. Damn, is there a dispensary they're not in the state of Arizona. That's unbelievable. Pure gummies are not covered in sugar like all their competitors, so you're not going to put yourself at risk health-wise when you're trying to enjoy these edibles. Pure is full-fledged candy company offering gummies, Kicks, of course, their version of Starburst, which Starburst elite candy tier. So if you got, an edible version of that, send them this way. Chews, soft candies like caramel, and hard candies. Pure effects are clearly listed on each 10, so you know exactly what effects to expect. You're not going to have your friend say, hey, take this, and then you're going on a bad trip, and you're thinking, man, is my life ending right now? No, you're not going to get anything like that from our friends over at Pure Edibles. They offer the gummies for sleep support as well as the candies for uplifting effects, derives with unique cannabinoids like CBN, CBG, CBD, and marijuana-derived THC. Pure gummies are designed to be ripped or bit in half, making it easy to share with easy dial in your exact dose. So find them right now. Pure Edibles products for one of their 130 dispensaries in Arizona. You got to check them out. Pure Edibles, check out the Kicks, and check out just our new partnership that we are so pumped to have here at PHNX, Pure Edibles.
Drop a like on this video. Let's get back to it. We're cutting down some free agents here.
Oh,
and again, you want to sign a guy in May, June, July to a minimum deal. I'm not going to complain about that.
You like between commercial break, like you went in, you put on some like old clothes, like you're going to get gross here. You're going to get dirty.
I'm going to get real gross. And again, I'm going to say some things that probably offend some people, but let's put it back up on the screen, Damon Dawg. If your name falls under Steve Keim and you were an outside linebacker acquired during his tenure, get off the team. Get off the team. There isn't a place for you on the team. That includes Dennis Gardeck, Duma Kaji. Jesse Luketa somehow has avoided this list because he's not a free agent yet. I would be
restricted guy.
Yeah, we'll talk about him at a later date. Now, let's start with the low priority guys. Beachum, you got to move. If Jonah Williams is on crutches, get him on the medium to high. Get Kelvin Beachum on the phone and say, hey, Kelvin, nice 1-year deal. You're the starter at OTAs, and figure it out. Christian Jones, Kelvin Beachum, and a rookie, please. I think that's the way to go. It's not going to cost you very much. Beachum's fantastic. What a signing. We expected him to maybe be an afterthought. Turns out he was one of the few constants for this team. Tonga, interchangeable. Cologne, Aaron Brewer, like these guys. And then we get to Dennis Gardeck. And here's what I want to say about Dennis Gardeck. He is beloved, right? He's on the program. He's on the Jumbotron. But he is synonymous, in my opinion, fair or not, with a Cardinal front seven that gets pushed around, that can't rush the passer, that's considered soft by a lot of people. Can we evolve as a fan base and just say, I want more from my pass rush? I don't want to sit here and break down number 45 tape every year. I want more for this team. You guys remember what it looked like to watch Chandler Jones rush the passer? It was awesome. We need to get back to having those expectations. And the Cardinals, they let the fan base down last year with what they trotted out of pass rusher. And it's not Dennis's fault that he got hurt. Hell, it's not Dennis's fault that Steve Keim signed him to that contract and he was consistently viewed upon, well, he's making this money, he can be a contributor. Cardinals, I'm begging you, have higher standards for that position. Stop. Julian Okoro was probably the least productive edge rusher I've ever seen through 17 games. With the amount, sacks against whom? A backup to a backup tackle that the Niners signed off the Cardinals in heck? What the heck? Julian Okoro gets a sack. He's like, hey, there's my old buddy. We were on the streets together, practice squad streets together. The Cardinals, it's time to get serious. You think the Rams are doing this kind of thing? No, man. They're adding pass rushers first, second round every year. They're signing players. I'm going to tell you right now, with the season that the Niners just had, you don't think they're going to be aggressive? Everybody in your division is about to be aggressive. Seattle's trying to move off of Geno Smith. The Rams aren't going to be complacent. If the Cardinals are just like, we're going to run it back with this pass rush group featuring Duma Kaji and Jesse Luketa and Julian Okoro, we will continue to lose. This is a losing mentality. Get rid of them all. Put the list up one more time, Damon. Let's see it. Let's see this list. Prater, Pascal, Okoro, Duma Kaji, Gardeck, goodbye. Do better. Sign better players.
It's the devil you know versus the devil you don't know, right?
I know him too well. Yeah, I see him every year.
it's those organizations you mentioned, like they don't, bring those guys back first and then ask questions later. Like they move on. They say, like, we know what we've got or what we don't have with some of these players, and we're just going to move on and we're just going to see what somebody else looks like in this position, because we know that the floor here isn't very high. So I agree with you. It's time now, after 2 seasons of really trying to Nick Rawlis task with trying to do the most with not a lot, especially from the outside linebacker position. So it is well overdue. And if that would signal a changing of the guard from the Keim era, finally the Monty Austin-Ford era, as far as what that position is going to look like in the future, then fine. Rip that Band-Aid off. It's pretty easy. Matt Prater, 40+ years old. You got a Pro Bowl alternate kicker under contract, and Chad Ryland. Thank you for your service, Matt Prater. Your made kicks and your missed kicks will not be forgotten in what it's done for this franchise. Mike Pilardi was just a guy who was filling a role for Blake Gillikin, who's under contract at the punting position the Cardinals really like. So teams, you're in a good spot. Zach Pascal, I think that if you want to find somebody that gives you an edge as far as a blocking wide receiver, I think you can look you can look out there and find it either in the draft or in free agency. So and then Zay Jones, I mean, he made an impact in the final game this season, but before that, there wasn't much of an impact to speak up for Zay Jones. So I think you get younger there. And then Duke McKagey was on the roster the entire season, and there was minimal impact. So I'm with you.
Everybody's asking us, because it was omitted from this list because he didn't start the year with the Cardinals. Baron Browning is an impending free agent, Bo.
Yes.
And I think that deserves its own kind of segment conversation here. The Cardinals used a 6th-round pick to bring him from Denver. He played a lot. He had 2 sacks. He had no sacks before he got here. He was not the savior at pass rusher. This podcast pointed that out, and some of us were chastised for calling him just another rotational guy. Guess what? He ended up, that's what he was. I do think, though, anytime...
You're still humble.
The most humble. You remember those trade deadline streets were tough, man, on Twitter, when it was like, hey, I don't think this guy's very good. What? Did you see his pass rush grade? Did you see his pressures? Oh, the guy who has no sacks. He's a step above a Jag, just a guy. He's a rotational player.
Yeah.
He's like a Gardeck, right? So it makes sense. They lose Gardeck. Let's get another one. I do think, speaking of Gardeck, though, Bo, he can be the new Dennis Gardeck. You bring him in, give him a contract. I think Austin-Ford will have an incentive, Bo, after looking at Bidwell and saying, we brought that guy over. We like him. We're going to sign him. See, we didn't waste a draft pick bringing him over and not making the postseason.
Yeah.
Baron Browning, to me, you can sign him if you want March, but that damn well better not be one of your big ticket signings, Monty Austin-Ford.
Yeah, I don't know. What you would hope that his role is depth.
Yeah, he should be a backup.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna. I know you're not gonna put many eggs back in the BJ Ojulari basket until he proves you that he can stay healthy. And then you hope that there's going to be upgrades in free agency in the draft that will help, strengthen that position, to put it in a position that hasn't been in far too long. Baron Browning, like, you're going to be honest with the guy and say, like, hey, you can have a role in this team, but like it could be minimal when it's all once we get to the training camp. Give him an option to walk, and if Cardinals fans should be prepared, like that's a reality.
Yeah, I see people online that are like, he's going to start. Zaven Collins is going to be a backup. Zaven Collins has more sacks than Baron Browning. Baron Browning, who everybody tells me can get after the quarterback. Like, why does Zaven have 5 sacks and Baron Browning has 2 sacks on the year? I know it's not all apples and oranges. If you're watching with us, with our streaming partners, jump on over to gophnx.com, become a diehard, hit that like, jump on over from our streaming partners. We're so proud of our partners to gophnx.com. We got almost 700 people watching live here on a football offseason Tuesday. Any other thoughts as it relates to the Cardinals free agent class? Here's my final thought. The Cardinals, this group, if they let everybody walk, the expectation should still be playoff team. This is not murderer's row, 2010, when the Cardinals lost Anquan Bolden, Antrell Roll, and Carlos Dansby. That's not this free agent class.
No.
With respect to these dudes, none of those guys are going to be priority free agents for any team. None of them.
No, I mean, I like Baron Browning. It's an interesting case. I'm not going to sit here and go after Johnny on the Twitter streets because he has a take on it.
Because I was right.
I was right. Like if nothing materializes, it should be because the organization feels like they can do better at the position. Like they want to get guys that are going to be productive, and you're not going to have to look, peel back the onion a little bit to find that production and say, well, look at this. You look at if you look at the analytics, it'll tell a different story. It's like, well, you need guys to tell like just the face value story. Yeah. And get, some of the like the true, you can call us box score scouts, but we haven't seen a guy that's consistently got after the quarterback. And I think that the impact has been made the last 2 seasons in the Cardinals' consistent or inconsistent inability to get off the field.
Yeah, I just feel like it's time for this team just to get serious about that position. You've been an unserious franchise since 55 left. And that and 3-5 technique, 1 technique, the entire defensive line, it doesn't scare anybody. And Nick Rawls is too good a defensive coordinator to be asked to continue to work with what I think is subpar talent in a lot of spots. And these guys make 7 figures. They're NFL caliber players. We're not saying anything disrespectful. Like, everybody watch it with your eyes. ESPN, based on the personnel of this defense, picked them to be the worst defense in the NFL. And they were, for the most part, probably right around like 15 to 18 this year. That's pretty damn good for Nick Rawls. Could you imagine what Nick Rawls could do with an impact D tackle and an impact edge rusher? I mean, you're talking about elevating the entirety of the defense, takeaways, forced fumbles, turnovers. Like,
well, I want to see it.
Yeah,
I just love to see it. Give him an opportunity. So like the front 7, like we look at guys. I think Johnny identified Collier as his guy. That's not your solution. But I'm
not sleeping if he leaves either.
Yeah, you want to keep him. And that's a good spot to kind of be in, right? Now it's like, okay, anything we add now is going to be viewed as a net positive. Yeah. Where before it's like you get to negative, or you could be just stuck in neutral there. So the Arizona Cardinals, an interesting unrestricted free agent list that we were able to just bang out there, and Johnny was able to get some takes off.
Yeah, I have some takes. I have lots of takes. You want to do the PFF grades?
Yeah, I'd love to see them.
Well, accumulation of PFF grades this year. We did our best to try to post them. Craig Morgan would throw them up on gophnx.com. The offense was much better treated by PFF than the defense this year, and I think it kind of underscores the need for talent. Here's the 2025 PFF highest graded Cardinals, and guess what? It's the Cardinals' best players offensively, starting, of course, James Conner with an elite grade of 90.4, Trey McBride, high, almost elite, blue chip, 86.8, Kyler Murray, the PFF loves K1, 82, Marvin Harrison Jr. at 80.8, Paris Johnson Jr., and then Marvin Harrison Jr. right behind him at 77.7. I mean, that's your team next year. Those are the guys you're going to go to war with. So, like, when we talk about improvements this offseason, it's not going to come from the offense. That there's going to be minor tweaks here and there, a guard, etc. That's the infrastructure. And by the way, pretty soon, eventually, those are going to be the 5 highest paid guys on the team.
Yeah, with Paris and MHJ and McBride, like I think they still have the ability to go higher, which is crazy to think about. But this is your core. This is your offensive core. These are all guys. You got Trey, who's going to sign a contract this offseason, most likely that it's going to lock him in through the end of Kyler's extension, through Marvin Harrison Jr.'s rookie contract and Paris Johnson's rookie contracts that are 5 years, including the option, and then James Conner, who's locked up through 2026. So for the next 2 seasons at the very least, this is your core, and that's exciting for the Cardinals to have this many, because we weren't making this case last year.
On the flip side, defensively, it's a little bit more muddled with an emphasis on, guess what, the secondary. and the back seven. Outside of Zayvon Collins, it's only back seven players. The defensive MVP, flip a coin, Garrett Williams, Budda Baker. Garrett Williams is on the cusp of stardom. Budda Baker, a much-deserved contract extension, 3 more years in Arizona. Zayvon Collins, 72, which is almost all carried by his high-end run defender marks. Does not bode well as a pass rusher, but again, somebody that you want in your rotation. Jalen Thompson, 68.8. Will Jalen Thompson be a Cardinal next season, given Taylor Demerson's coming on strong? Mac Wilson Sr., who I think has done a little bit dirty, 63.8.
Yeah.
Now, this keep in mind, guys, Taylor Demerson, some of these other guys have graded higher than some of these individuals, but we went by 500 snaps minimum. So who's in there every week in the trenches? These were the Cardinals' best defenders week in and week out, according to PFF, Bo.
Now, Mac Wilson came off an unbelievable PFF season, his final year in New England, and I think he was asked to do a lot in his first year with the Cardinals, maybe play at a position, and you know, really have to do some things that probably didn't help his PFF grade. But he had a solid season. I'm not going to look too deep into his 63 PFF grade, and we take PFF with a grain of salt. It's just a part of the puzzle.
63 also not bad.
No, it's not. I think somebody in the chat said 60's average.
Yeah.
So just above average there.
70 good, 80 great,
Garrett
90
Williams,
elite.
82 with playing in the secondary with this
Awesome.
defensive front is unbelievable.
James Conner, 90. I mean, it's like one of the best grades in the entire NFL.
It's blue, right? On once you hit that blue status on PFF, that's pretty impressive.
I mean, just looking at that, like, you know what the Cardinals need. They need D tackles and D ends. That's what they need. Let's get to some of these super chats. We need these in our life. You guys have been patient. Let's start. Reezy Baby, $2 ball poses to you. Any rumblings in your opinion on cutting Justin Jones or Bilal Nichols, the 2 marquee D tackle signings from last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I think to look at this offseason. Most of the deals that they signed last year, most of the money was going to come in year 2. So you got to weigh your options as far as what they're going to be able to deliver playing wise versus what it's going to cost, how much dead cap you would have to absorb. And, you know, Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols were guys that were consistently available. They had like their own individual Ironman streaks before suffering in their own respective season-ending injuries this season. I think it's probably 2 guys that they would at the very least keep around until June, and then try to figure out if there's a post-June cut, if they've upgraded the position through different, you know, free agency and in the draft.
There's just not an avenue. Unlike Jonah Williams, Justin Jones, post June 1st, dead money is $8 million to just a $3 million cap savings. Bilal Nichols, even worse, $7 million dead cap, just $300 grand. I think right now both of them are going to be on the roster, which again could spell the end for a guy like Roy Lopez and you know, LJ Collier, but that doesn't mean
if Bilal Nichols or Justin Jones ends Rolo in Arizona, we get our pitchforks, we get our torches, and we head on down to Tempe to the Cardinals facility.
I mean, that's money you just can't move off of. To Bo's point, I mean, it's movable in 2020.
The numbers crunch it's a bit concerning, right? I mean, it's like it's just position how many guys you have in that room.
Right.
You got Darius, you got Stills, you have Justin Jones, you have Bilal Nichols. You know, they like a rotation of 5. Now, obviously, you're going to carry quite a bit on your 90-man, but
all right, let's count them out. Stills will make the team. Darius, Jones, Nichols.
Yeah. And those are team first guys. Like,
right.
They're going to come with the right attitude. You just need more production from guys that you signed to some decent deals.
I mean, you could have go ahead.
They can't stand in the way of you aggressively trying to upgrade the position.
I think you can cut one of them. I think if you just want to be like, we need a spot to get better, you probably cut one of them.
Well, I don't even know if that cut comes. Like, I think they make a signing first and then they figure it out. Like, they got to get the player on the roster that they view as an upgrade to make that decision.
That's fair.
Yeah.
PR Mac, continue with the conversation. Jonah Williams, is he staying or being released? I mean, when is Monty Ossenfort speaking? He has to speak. He will speak at the combine. We will be there, and we'll ask him then. But hopefully, he speaks before then. But like Bo, I don't know. He's not going to. Okay, so we'll talk to him at the combine in 2 months. But I think it's Bo. I think the perfect analogy was the one you coined. This is DJ Humphries 2.0.
Yeah.
Given when he got the injury.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like, well-liked guy. Played when he was available. He played well. And it's not going to be available for him in the business of the NFL. Just makes more sense for them to make some cap space and go a different direction at that position. And we'll stay with the tackle conversation. Reezy, baby, if Christian Jones can learn not to hold, he's fine.
I think
on Sunday.
I think if Kelvin B, if they don't prioritize like a tackle in free agency, I think that's a great omen for Christian Jones. I think the Cardinals' best coach unit the last 2 years consistently has been their offensive line. I mean, you watch some of these teams try to block people. It's laughable. That's what the Cardinals franchise used to be. So I don't necessarily trust every position coach on the Cardinals, certainly with what they've done offensively, but I trust the offensive line coach who's pulling the strings there. And I'll tell you what, we joke about Drew Petzing leaving. I would hate that if it meant taking the Cardinals O-line coach and making him his offensive coordinator. That would not be good. So
no.
Christian Jones, Isaiah Adams, I think Adams is a lock to start. Christian Jones, we always say, could he be a swing tackle? We'll see.
Yeah, I think that he's going to have an opportunity to win that position. If not, stay on his path, his trajectory. And, I think it's unfortunate that he was thrust into starting this season, but it was great for him. So Christian Jones, outside of whatever prank went down last night on, Paris Johnson Jr.'s Instagram, where Christian Jones and Isaiah Adams were stuck with $130,000 tab, which I believe was a prank, right?
Nobody's been able to confirm that. I hope so. Can I just say this too? Yeah. Ossenfort made a point to say that they were going to upgrade and pipeline the offensive line and develop guys. And they have not hit on everything they've done. They've been underwhelming in free agency, but he has kept that promise. Paris is on the cusp of being an elite player. Froholt was a tremendous signing. They found Evan Brown, who they could move off of. And then last year's draft, Bo, like what if they exit last year's draft for as much ridicule as we gave it on day 2 with a starter at right guard, Tip Ryman, who's whether you like the position value or not, a focal point of what they want to do, and a right tackle in Christian Jones. It'd be a hell of an addition up front.
Yeah, I'm just a little skeptical that Christian Jones is going to get that opportunity this soon.
Sure.
But look, if you got a guy that can give you some depth and he played well enough on Sunday, that's a positive. You got him in the 5th round out of Texas, and he was able to come in here and play. And people want to point to the brutal Indianapolis performance, but man, is he shown strides, and that's what you need to see from your youngsters is them just develop and not make the same mistakes. Let's keep going. Mario, $4.99. Aside from better chemistry between Marv and K1, what other pieces could we add to the offense to make K1 better? Speedy wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, he's asking, or another O-lineman?
Well, they're going to add a guard. We feel pretty confident about that. They might add some tackle depth, but I think, underneath speed receiver, I mean, it's cliche, but they need like another Christian Kirk kind of player underneath that can take top off the defense. Let me ask you this, Bo, because it got posed by somebody. I'd like to get credit, but I can't remember who it was. Like, if the Bengals let T. Higgins walk, is that something that you're interested in pursuing? Like, do you feel like the Cardinals should be in the market for a starting caliber wide receiver with that kind of pedigree this offseason?
No, I mean, unless you completely strike out as far as upgrading the defense this offseason and that's your way to improve, I don't think that's your priority.
Yeah, I don't want to flush the receiver position until they can do a better job utilizing it too.
Yeah.
I think Michael Wilson's a damn good player, and I think he deserved more targets this year. So
yeah.
But
well, you got Trey McBride too. I mean,
right.
You got two mouths that you want to feed, and I think you started to find a way to consistently get both of them the football, and it look, in rhythm with Marv and Trey at the end of the season. I think you ride that. Doc's card saying Tyreek Hill is leaving Miami. There's their leadership coming out. Was it GM Chris Greer saying he never officially made a request? Look, Johnny reported yesterday the Cardinals they're out on Tyreek Hill.
0.0% chance ever. I mean, I don't like making a guy Antonio Brown 2.0, but he literally did that to himself. I think he photoshopped his head on Antonio Brown's body.
Yeah.
They are so, almost to a fault, conservative with who they bring into the locker room.
Yeah. Aiden asked me if they're going to re-sign Dortch. Dortch is a restricted free agent. That's going to be a curious case this offseason. Jonathan Gannon loves Greg Dortch, his versatility, all the roles he plays on their team. We were saying this, him being restricted, it just becomes a little bit easier, make 110% what his this season's salary was.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't be that big of an increase. I think that would be an easy bring back for the Cardinals, but could they bring in competition, especially in the receiving room? That I think that's a real possibility.
I think the Cardinals like their skill players.
Yeah.
I think they know that line of scrimmage is a priority on both sides. Josh, $5, friend of the program, diehard Josh. Love our guy, Josh. Do you guys think they cut bait with some of the free agents they signed last year to clear some cap, upgrade that position? So let's go through them if we could quickly, Bo. And I will rapid fire with you.
All right.
And you tell me stays or goes 2024 free agents revisited. Okay.
All right.
So you've made it clear. Zay Jones, stay or go?
Go.
Okay. Justin Jones, stay or go?
I think Justin Jones stays.
Bilal Nichols, stay or go?
He stays in the interim, but if they do add to that room, somebody's going to become, I think, vulnerable, dispensable. I think that you just got to figure out, do you like Jones or Nichols? I think Jones has the ability to be maybe a little bit more productive.
DJ Dallas, Pro Bowl alternate DJ Dallas, is he staying?
Yeah, I think he stays.
Yeah, I do too. That was a nice fit. I know they gave him a 3-year deal. He's making about $3 million a year, but Mac Wilson Sr., this is a given.
Staying.
And I think that's about it. That was.
Do you want to field this one?
Yeah,
Sean Murphy Bunting.
Oh man, I forgot about Sean. I think he stays.
Yeah, I do
don't think
too.
they're gonna get rid of him.
There's not. You absorb $8.5 million of a $10 million cap hit, so you'd be $8.5 dead money. You only stand to make 1.5.
Secondary has a chance to be special next year. I think you lean in, like everything else with the coaching staff, you lean into continuity and consistency at that unit, and you remake the front seven. I don't want to create holes on the back end just to create it. Like, they're not paying Garrett Williams any money, or Starling Thomas, or Keitrell Clark, or Max Melton. Those guys are making no money. They're not paying number one corner money to anybody. So they can afford a free agent corner. And Sean Murphy Bunting got better as the year went on, and then he got tossed out of a Week 18 game. So
that was great.
Yeah, I know you loved it.
That made me want to keep him.
I did. Yeah, it fired me up. His third pick, and then he goes and he gets a guy thrown out of the game, like the only viable receiver for the
respect, Ricky.
Niners. Oh, I'm sorry.
Come on.
Yeah, Ricky Pearsall.
I do think Sean will be better with the pass rush. I think he'll be way better. I think we'll be better if you guys drop us a like here. Maybe we got 715 people watching. I think it feels like 700 likes is obtainable. I'm giving you guys grace. 13 people don't have to like 700 when you.
Did you really have a problem with SMB getting thrown out of the game?
We know Gannon hates that kind of thing. I'm surprised Gannon didn't kind of condemn that in the post-game press conference.
He did kind of say, like, you can't have that happen.
Remember the fighting at joint practices against Indy and how pissed he was about that? I just assumed he wasn't thrilled about that. But the Cardinals don't have enough corner depth to cut Sean Murphy Bunting.
He also doesn't want his guys just, getting kicked around by a guy like Juwan Jennings, who was, he was seeing red.
Yeah. I think Gannon said something in front of the media. You don't think that's something that he could probably be like, yeah, I kind of liked it.
Can I ask you this? With this free agent group from last year, is there some saving face for Austin Ford that like, you guys want me to cut every guy I signed last year? Like that's not a good look. Like we know how underwhelming the class was, but like he's got to go to Bidwell and say, I got to pay dead money on like 4 guys that we signed. Why the hell we signed those guys? Right. I think they're going to want to try to make it work with most of these players.
Sure. And I think that they'll give them the benefit of the doubt to try to get a better performance from these guys being in their second season in the system.
You can always expect probably a better performance from your boys here at PHNX Cardinals. Sometimes. Like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports on YouTube. Suns back in action, of course. I think we got a post-game show. Would love to see Jimmy Butler breaking news come across our timeline, but we will settle for Arizona Cardinal talk each and every day here, 4:30 Mountain Time. Bo, Johnny, and Damon. Again, subscribe to PHNX Cardinals wherever you get your podcasts. We're, 2 weeks away from Senior Bowl, my guy? 2.5 weeks away?
My God. Yeah. That's coming up before you know it. We're going to continue our off-season coverage, and that will kick off a pretty busy couple weeks of coverage because it'll be Senior Bowl. We are starting to lock in our trip to the Super Bowl, New Orleans, and then we will head to Indianapolis for the scouting combine. Don't want to miss out in any of that. Make sure you subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Become a diehard. Get your conversation continues 24/7 in the exclusive member Discord chat. You want to access that only way, become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. For everybody, Johnny listed, and all you great people in the chat, barring any breaking news, we're not expecting anything. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a Wednesday edition, PHNX Cards.
We all silly like the mayor.